welcome. I am going to be sharing with you my SOP that I have used for years and all my years of managing social media for my general practice that I was at, for my social media clients that were veterinary consultants, other hospitals, industry partners, and for myself. I'm going to lay it all on the table for you so that you are able to streamline your own process for managing social media. Whether you have help at your practice or if you're just the only one who's managing social media right now, I promise you this system has saved me a ton of time, a lot of stress, or it's reduced a lot of stress for me, and really has given me back the energy that I need to actually engage with people, which, spoiler alert, is really how you are going to leverage your efforts for social media and getting more engagement. So, I'm going to walk you through my 8-step SOP that I've developed and really honed in, and I want you to make it your own. So, take what I'm going to share with you, try it out, and then make it your own as much as possible. All right. Before we dive into this episode, though, I want to take a moment to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Vet Social Hub. Vet Social Hub is my membership where I am supplying you with everything you need to manage social media for your practice. So I want to give you all the tools that you need to master social media so you don't have to go scattering around the internet. I've done all the hard work for you and I put it all into Vet Social Hub. So in Vet Social Hub, I'm providing you with done for you templates for all your social media posts. I'm providing you with training so you can learn the skills you need to feel more confident and know and feel like you know what you're talking about with social media. And I'm also providing you with a library of content so you can go back in anytime and gather stuff as you need. So if you want to learn more about Vet Social Hub, definitely check out the link in the description. There's a lot more detail there for you, but I want to keep this episode short. So with that, let's dive on in to my SOP, and what I call this is the veterinary social media SOP. All right, very simple, but it's an 8-step formula that I've created that is done throughout the month. So feel free to start off with a month planning and see if that works for you. If you know that planning a month ahead of time does not work for you, then definitely feel free to adjust this to fit your cadence that works for you. But I like doing a month because I don't like to have to come back to it every week or every other week and start the whole process again. I like just to sit down once a month, get everything done, and sit back if need to, or adjust as things come up. I don't like to do things day by day. So if you are not a planner, I highly encourage you just to be open-minded as you listen to this or watch it on YouTube, because I feel like this has unlocked so much for me, and I want to be able to reduce stress in your day and give you back time in your day, right? Who doesn't want more time? So with that, the first step in my process is review it. And I do this towards the end of the month. And I have begun to kind of lump my first and second step together, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But the review it stage is basically the time I just review all of our marketing goals, any upcoming events, any announcements, promotions, anything that I need to be aware of that's going to impact how I plan or what I create for social media. And so with this said, I want to back up for a moment. If you do not have goals set up for your clinic, or you have not been given any marketing or business goals, then this is where I highly encourage you to take a moment to either figure those out or talk with your leadership, your supervisor, whoever is above you when you're managing social media, because those goals, having those established, is really going to help you plan for results. Okay. And I have a workbook, and I'll link that in the description for you, but it's a SMART goal framework workbook where we take the acronym SMART, and I will probably butcher this, but I'm going to give it a shot. What SMART stands for is specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and time bound. Okay. There's also a framework called Smarter, but I like to use the SMART framework when I'm creating marketing goals. And the workbook will walk you through it, and I will talk about this probably on another episode, but I want to focus on the SOP. So I encourage you basically to go make those goals so that you can apply them to your social media plan. The second step is plan it. And like I said, I do this also towards the end of the month. What I'll do is I'll sit down in one day and review everything. So I'm reviewing everything from how the previous social media posts performed as well. I didn't mention that before, but this is when I look at all the social media, everything that's coming up, everything that has happened, and just get a good idea of what's going on. And so then I'll take that information and plan at the same time. Again, you can break this up to work however it fits for your schedule, but I've been doing this for so long now, I just do it all in one step. So with that, that's when I get my content calendar. And if you're not familiar with a content calendar is basically a calendar that holds all my post ideas or pins dates, important things I need to note that are going to impact what I'm posting. So this is where I'll put anniversaries, birthdays. We've got a summer parade coming up that we're being a part of, something like that. And things on that or of that will go on the content calendar. And I will show you how that process works later. But this is just where I will brainstorm, put all the ideas on there, get post ideas if I don't have any, and start putting them on the calendar and make a plan. Because if I want to hit a certain amount of posts each week, so like say my goal is 3 times a week to post on Instagram, then I know I need at least 3 posts for that week or 12 posts for the month. And so that kind of helps me to say, okay, I only need 12 ideas, or I need to get this for this idea, that kind of thing. So it helps me to visually see everything on the calendar. I hope you're tracking with me so far. So I have a whole course in Vet Social Hub that shows you how to plan it. So I highly encourage you to check that out if you become a member. But with that said, once I have everything planned out and kind of mapped out, again, this is not where I am creating anything. I'm not writing anything for captions, nothing of that nature. Just simply planning and writing things out. You can do this on paper. You can do this digitally. So I like to do this in Notion or an Airtable, for example. I know some people like Trello, but I know a lot of you like to print up things or get a notebook and draw a calendar. So whatever works for you, this is the perfect step for you to do that in. So then once I've got the plan written out and everything, we go to step 3, which I call curate. So again, I do this also kind of at the end of the month. If I'm planning things out, I'm like, ooh, that's a great idea. Let me just grab that. I'll just bring it in and put it in my little curated pile of stuff, or just put it on the content calendar then. But this is where you're just gathering all of the information, all the media needed, all of the photos, videos, basically anything you need to curate the posts in our next step. This is the place, or this is the time for you to be doing that. So what this looks like in action at the practice is, once I know what my posts are going, what posts I need for the next month, I will be taking pictures or trying to find some photos that I already have. I highly encourage you to take your own photos versus using stock photos as your go-to for multiple reasons, but mainly it avoids you infringing on any copyright infringement. And then second, having original photos really helps to build that connection when people see your photo. So if I was scrolling on my practices page or on my own page and I saw a picture of me or a technician I work with, I'd be like, oh, I know them. I work with them. I already have a trust with them, right? Same thing with like my dentist. They're pretty active on social media, all right? So I'm like, oh, I know Rhonda, right? So it builds that instant connection. And if they don't know you already, they already have this idea. It's just that familiarity that we're establishing with original photos. So get those photos. I record anything that I need. So if I have a tech who's willing to do a toothbrushing tutorial for a reel, this is when I would record it, okay? So once I've gathered everything, I move on to creating all of the posts. So again, this is towards the end of the month. I'd like to start this whole process actually with reviewing things like the 3rd week of the month. That way I have a little bit of a buffer. I'm not starting on the 4th Wednesday when things are like, oh my gosh, I only have a few days to get things together. I like to give myself 2 weeks before the new month starts. So I should have mentioned that earlier, but when I am creating the posts, this is when I create all the visuals, edit all the videos, getting all my templates ready and writing the captions and really getting the posts ready to be brought to life and getting ready to schedule them. I don't like to create one post as I go. I like to create it all in one spot just because I like to batch my stuff. It helps me to stay focused and I feel like I get more progress and I'm more productive. So I just sit down and get everything done. Now, how I like to do this personally, some people like to get like, okay, I'm going to get all this week's posts done and then I'll work on that. So they work by date. What I like to do is I like to create all my graphics in one sitting. I like to create and write all my captions in another sitting and then bring them together. That's just how I like to work. So if it's easier for you to create all of your graphics one day and say, okay, I've only got, 20 minutes today, I'm going to do that. And then the next day, you've got 15 minutes. Write all your captions for that, for all those posts. Trust me, it seems like it's a lot of extra work, but it actually saves you a lot of time. So with that, I take a break. I don't do anything else with the posts once I feel like I'm done. I've checked all the dates off. I don't schedule them. I don't post them. I don't do anything. So then what I do is I either come back the next day or come back a few days later. It really just depends on the schedule. But then what I do is I schedule all the posts in one sitting. So I like to do this probably a little bit before the end of the month. The first 4 steps of this process are kind of condensed. Like I said, you can do them when it works for you. But when I go to schedule these posts, I like to use this as my time to review everything. So when I'm uploading the graphics to, you can use Meta Business Suite. I like Metricool to my preferred auto scheduler. I put the graphic, make sure that the caption is with it. And I say, okay, I take a moment to say, okay, this is good. Oh, there's a typo. Let me fix that. Because once you've posted, I can't tell you what stresses me out more is when I've noticed there's a typo in the graphic or I've linked the wrong thing in the caption and I have to go back in and I will often just post the same thing to different platforms. So I'm like, oh no, I have to go to all these different posts and correct it. It's a nightmare. You don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Nobody's got time for that. So just use this time to schedule. Try to do it undistracted, not multitasking, but use this time to really just review everything and check things off. And then you can make sure that the time and date that you're scheduling it out for is correct. It's all good. So really, that is the bulk of this SOP. You've got everything done. You've got everything ready for the next month, even before the next month begins. So that to me is just so wonderful. So with that said, this process allows me to have a bulk of my posts done and ready for me to go. That's because I have everything planned out ahead of time. But this doesn't mean you can't move things around and adjust things if other things come up. So say the phone lines go down, you want to make a post about that. You can easily just add another post or you can reschedule things and move it around. But this system gives me the opportunity to really just be flexible and not stressed out, be like, oh, okay, I have no posts made. I gotta post something. What do I post? And that whole like the brain dies moment. At least that's my experience. Tell me otherwise if that's not your experience in the comments below. But yes, this is my way of defeating that brain dead moment. So what I do throughout the rest of the month, so the first part of the month and really on a daily basis, if possible, this is where I go into my 6th step, and this is engage it. And I do this typically daily during the week. Now, when I say week, I want to make sure I'm mentioning that this is during your business hours. And a lot of you are going to be from Monday through Friday. But if your practice is, 24/7, be sure that you're making an agreement with whoever your supervisor is or with yourself saying, okay, I'm only going to be responding X amount of days. Because if you are constantly engaging, constantly keeping track of everything, 24/7, you're going to burn out. And I really don't want that for you. I've been there. It's not fun. So when I say engage it daily, this is really going to fluctuate based upon what your level of audience activity is. But generally, this is just when I observe interactions, engage in comments, comment on other people's posts, check in with messages, respond to those. And I say I dedicate at least 5 minutes a day to that. If I can't do it, every day, I say, okay, I'm going to do it 3 times this week and maybe increase the time a little bit. So Monday, maybe it's 15 minutes. Wednesday, maybe it's 10 minutes. It really depends on how active your accounts are. If you have a lot of activity, you might want to say, okay, I need 30 minutes to check back with everyone, engage, etc. So really make this work for you. But if you can at least say every day for 5 minutes, I'm going to check in and respond to someone if they've responded. All right. So then my 7th step, and this is the 7 out of 8 steps, so we're almost there, is to track it. And I do this at the beginning of the month after all my posts have been scheduled and everything for the upcoming month is done. I like to go back and look at the past month and really record all of my results, analyze the performance, add it to a report that I have, and really just take a look at all the social media analytics. Okay, this gives me a good idea of how my posts are performing and gives me an idea of where I can improve, what I can keep doing to get more results, and just gives me a good glance on how things are performing. Now, I have a warning for you with this. Don't let this become your personality. I don't want you to get obsessed with tracking and the analytics. If you lose followers, if you don't get any shares or comments, that is okay. Basically, this is taking the vitals of your social media, all right? It's not life or death, though. It's just a way for you to indicate and see how well things are going, okay? Because I'm a huge proponent for you to follow on to prioritize your connections over your data and metrics, okay? I want you to be sure that you're taking priority over spending time building those connections with your followers, with your clients, versus obsessing over, oh, we only have 100 followers. Okay, that's great. That's like having 100 people in your clinic. I don't think you want more unless you have a huge building and you have the bandwidth to support that, right? So just keep that in mind. You're just taking the vitals of your social media with this step. All right. So then the last and 8th step is to repeat this process. Okay. So you're going to begin this process and do it again and again. All right. So with that, I'm going to have on YouTube, I'm going to have a visual of this process so you can see it. And if you want, you can take notes. I'm also going to put this in a blog for you so you can take this SOP and make it your own. And I really hope you do because I want you to be successful. I can't say that enough. So with that said, I have a workshop that you'll be able to really dive in deeper on each of these steps. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make a content calendar. I'm going to show you how to make goals that are connected with your practice's overall goals. I'm going to show you how to create content in a bit more engaging way and show you some organizational steps that's going to save you some time. I'm also going to show you how I use my preferred social media scheduler because I do not like Meta. I am sorry if you love Meta, but I do not like Meta. And so I have Metricool that I use that I love and recommend to everybody. So I definitely will show you how that works, and I will show you some tips and tricks on how to get more engagement and saving you time so you don't have to necessarily be in every day, but you can continue to build engagement and grow that. And I will also show you how you can track analytics, help you understand analytics, and all that and so much more. So if that sounds like you want to be something you want to be a part of, I highly encourage you and invite you to join. Details will be in the description for you. But with that, I will let you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please follow, subscribe, share, all the things, and tune back next week.